Hi guys, welcome back to another Hugh Jeffries video. In this video, we're going to be fixing a totaled Motorola Razr 5G, but not just any Razr. This one belongs to Michael Fisher, or as he's also known, Mr. Mobile. Only 40 days old at the time, this phone sustained some serious damage to the outer display and a small crack to the lower glass panel. Despite the phone being dropped while open, the inner folding display is unscathed from any damage. To recap how this damage occurred and the issues Michael faced with trying to get his phone repaired, let's revisit the Mr. Mobile video.
I mean, literally, it just falls out of my hand for no discernible reason other than maybe my hand is cold, crashes to the sidewalk in a horrible murder scene. In fact, it was so brutal that the barista here gave me a coffee on the house because she felt bad.
So knowing I'd have to pay for a repair, I started making phone calls. And from the big corporate chains like iFixit to the independent shops in Brooklyn, nobody offered repair on the new Razr.
You guys don't repair the Razr 2020, right? No dice. Okay.
With local independent repair shops out of the question, Michael turned to the phone maker itself, Motorola. He was told this damage is a device replacement, not repair, which would cost him $965 US, which is almost the price of a new Razr. Out of options, I reached out to help. A few weeks later, his Razr showed up at my post office box here in Australia, having been sent all the way from Brooklyn in the US. With the help of iFixit, I think we can get this phone back up and running. As you can see, the Razr has arrived just as damaged as he sent it out. Also inside the parcel was a note from the man himself, which reads, "Hugh, thanks in advance for bringing my baby back. Michael." As mentioned in Michael's original video, the inner display panel works flawlessly. However, that outer display, well, it doesn't work at all. I'd like to thank iFixit for sponsoring this video. Get genuine Motorola parts to fix your phone at ifixit.com/HughJeffries. Whilst purchasing replacement parts from iFixit's website is easy, they didn't have any parts in stock for this particular phone. After getting in touch, they managed to source out a replacement outer display for this Razr directly from Motorola, thanks to a partnership they have with them. So whilst Motorola didn't offer repair for the damage to Michael's phone, they did however sell us the parts. But it wasn't without issue. For the rear panel, Motorola stated the part had reached the end of life and wasn't being sold, which is crazy for the latest flagship. I feel as though they were confused on what Razr phone we were actually talking about. In the end, I sourced out that part from another place online. Whilst the experience sourcing parts from Motorola wasn't flawless, I want to congratulate them on actually selling at least some of their replacement parts to suppliers. Almost no companies do this. It means I can be confident the outcome of this repair will be as good as it can be, and I'm not going to have to worry about low quality parts with bad displays or weak glass. With our parts ready to go, it's time to begin work. This phone is glued shut, so we'll need to soften that adhesive. To do this, I can switch on my heat plate at 80 degrees and place the phone on top for a few minutes. Afterwards, we can use a suction cup to apply enough upward pressure to create a gap between the glass and frame. Next, using a plastic pick, we can work around the perimeter of the glass panel to separate it from the adhesive. This was much easier than I anticipated as it lacks any form of water resistance. The adhesive is much weaker. Once we've made it all the way around the edges, you'll notice that the back is now lifting up and away from the phone. Pulling it off completely, you can see we've got our first look inside the Motorola Razr. I'll need to remove 2 Torx screws and this plastic bracket to be able to access one of the battery connections, which I will disconnect. Now that we're inside the Motorola, you can see just how it looks in the bottom half. There is a battery, a fingerprint reader, among a few other components. It's now time to turn to the top half of the Razr, where we can remove the obliterated quick view display. Once again, I heated the phone, this time being the top section. Its removal is similar to the back, however it's held in with extra glue. On top of that, there's a microphone cable you need to look out for, as well as the 2 display cables that are attaching to the phone's motherboard. And as this display is very shattered, it makes its removal more difficult. After some careful prying, the display can be lifted up and folded to one side so that we can disconnect those previously mentioned display cables. After they've been unplugged, we can remove any remaining glass left behind by that old screen. On that old screen is the camera bracket and LED flash, which we'll need to take out and save for later as it will need to be attached to the new display panel. Now we've disassembled this phone as far as we need to. We've got access to both the top and bottom sections of this phone. One thing that struck my eye was the gap on either side of that folding display. This would easily allow dust to enter the phone or get caught up in the display. Proceeding, I'll need to clean up the frame and remove any of the residual adhesive that I can. We need to ensure there's no remaining glass or big chunks of adhesive left behind, so our new display panel will sit nice and flush in the phone. I'll test fit our new display panel to make sure not only it is working, but the previous non-functioning display issue wasn't relating to a deeper issue inside the phone. With the new screen fitted, you can see that it is indeed working just fine. I can power down the Razr once again and disconnect the display. We'll need to apply the adhesive before we can get it fully attached. The microphones in this phone are covered by a small mesh sticker that sometimes will come up with the rear or front panel. It's vital to remove them and reattach them back into the phone, as I'm doing here. Next to that microphone is a bit of tape, which we'll need to pull up and replace. I did initially think that was attached to the new adhesive, but it wasn't, so I'll need to apply some of my own. This is better than leaving the old adhesive, as after it's lost its grip, it can create an annoying clacking sound whenever the new glass is pressed on. It's now time to fit the new adhesive going around the perimeter of the bottom section of this phone. It is slightly shorter than the edges, so there is a slight gap all the way around, but this is how it is supposed to be. We'll need to repeat the same process for the top section, first reinstalling that camera and LED flash before applying the adhesive. It's important to make sure this is lined up correctly so none of the adhesive is preventing the display from sitting flush. I'll need to press it down with my finger and a spudger to ensure that it is correctly seated into position and adhered to the frame. After that is done, it's finally time to attach that new screen. First, peeling off the protective film on the camera hole and cable, we can attach the first cable to the motherboard. Thankfully, the adhesive is designed in such a way that the display can be connected without the protective film first having to be removed, which simplifies the installation process and prevents you from accidentally attaching the display. With that second cable plugged in, we can do a final test on the phone just to make sure everything is working for Mr. Mobile, and once that is all done, we can reattach that second battery and fasten its retaining piece of plastic. While I always recommend disconnecting the battery before working on anything, that's not possible with this phone as the other battery in the top half was still providing power. So it's not always possible, but this didn't harm the phone. Next, the protective film from the adhesive can be taken off and the display can be pressed down into place, ensuring all sides are correctly lined up with the edges of the phone. Around back, we'll need to do the exact same procedure, first removing all of the protective film and then applying the new back panel into place. As an added measure, I used lacquer bands to keep pressure on the adhesive overnight to ensure it didn't break free. In the morning, I could remove these lacquer bands and see our finished result. And finally, the last thing we have to do is remove the plastic protective film. And we're done. So this is it, Michael Fisher's Motorola Razr 5G. After not even Motorola offered a repair option, we have saved this phone, preventing it from becoming e-waste and essentially bringing it back to life. I am disappointed that Motorola didn't offer a repair option for the outer display or back glass, even though they offer repair for the main folding display. I hope to see Motorola make a change to their offered repairs to include this one. With the Razr looking sharp, there's only one thing left to do: send it back to Mr. Mobile. I'll wrap the phone in bubble wrap and ship it back in the same box I received it, all the way back to Brooklyn in the US.
All right, Hugh, let's see what we got here. You even returned my newspaper wrapping material. Thanks, Hugh. Ooh, this is a special moment. Gosh, I forgot how, no, don't scratch it the first thing you do. All right, I forgot how much I missed this colorway. I've been using the Razr, but not in the colorway I wanted in 2004 that I finally got back and then promptly ruined. Wow, that's gorgeous. Wow, that is gorgeous. All over again. Hello friends, Michael Fisher, professional phone dropper here, AKA Mr. Mobile. When I dropped and shattered my Motorola Razr 5G, I was of two minds about it. On the one hand, from a professional standpoint, it was kind of interesting that the one thing everyone worries about on foldable phones, the folding display, was fine, and everything else was shattered. But from a personal standpoint, of course, I was heartbroken. This is the phone I wanted in 2004, obviously the earlier incarnation, but more specifically, I wanted it in this colorway. And when I was finally able to buy it with my own money, it was the fulfillment of a long-standing nerd dream. And it really ruined my whole day, week, month when I broke it. So I'm very thankful to Hugh. Thank you, iFixit, everyone, for helping repair this thing. Even if it is a shame I had to send it halfway around the world and know someone and have people willing to do me favors to get that repair completed. Obviously, it is still early days for foldables, and I would hope that as time goes on, this repair process for ordinary consumers gets a little bit easier.
And with that, the Razr is back in the hands of Mr. Mobile. I'd like to thank Michael for sending his phone across, as this video wouldn't be possible without him. And I'm also really happy to see him enjoying his phone once again. And on that note, this has been a Hugh Jeffries video. If you like what you saw, hit that subscribe button and consider checking out the phone restoration playlist for more videos just like this one. And if you're looking for any used devices, be sure to check out my online store, link for which is down in the description. That's all for this video, and I'll catch you guys next time.
Like the song says, reunited, and it does feel good.